All right, good morning to the Sunday morning crowd. This is our second or third video to shoot for the Sunday morning question and answers. One of the questions this week is, when you die, where does your soul go? Does it rest in the body in the ground, or does it go somewhere else? And the answer is, when a person dies, their body is resting in the ground, or we plant their body in the ground, but their soul immediately goes to be with the Lord if they're a believer. If they're not a believer, their soul immediately is separated from God. And we find this in Paul, who says, absent from the body, present with the Lord. 1 Corinthians chapter 5, where Paul describes his body as an earthly tent that he's going to get rid of, or he's going to, that's going to go away, and that he's personally going to go to be with the Lord. And then later he's going to get his earthly tent upgraded to a heavenly dwelling place, a body that won't wear out. Paul also says in Philippians chapter 1, he says, I long to depart and be with the Lord. And so in that, the idea here is that when the moment Paul died, he was expecting to be with the Lord, and he was expecting to do so without his body yet, that it was going to be a bodiless experience, a soulful but bodily lacking experience. So when a person dies, their body is planted in the ground, their soul goes to be with the Lord. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. Jesus said to the thief on the cross, this day you will be with me in paradise. Lazarus to the rich man, Lazarus dies and he goes to rest. The rich man goes to the place of torment. They're awaiting a future resurrection, but there is an experience in there. So when we say a loved one dies and they went to be with the Lord, I think that is a fair way of saying it. They die and go to be with the Lord, even though we plant their body in the ground. So that's what happens with the soul. Their body is in the ground, but their spirit goes to heaven. The second question, how many heavens are there? In Hebrew, there are 3 heavens. That's why Paul says in 2 Corinthians chapter 13, I think it is, I was called up to the third heaven. Maybe it's not 13, maybe it's chapter 11. But anyway, Paul says, I was called up to the third heaven. The first heaven is the blue sky above you, the sky where the birds fly and, that kind of thing, the air, the atmosphere. The second heavens are the place where the stars reside, outer space, the vast expanse of the universe. That's the second heaven. And the third heaven is the dwelling place of God. God dwells in heaven in light unapproachable. And so the idea of the 3 heavens, that's why Paul says I was called up to the third heaven. In other words, Paul had an experience where he was invited into the very presence of God, probably similar to what Isaiah had in Isaiah chapter 6, where Isaiah saw the Lord high and lifted up. So when it says we will meet the Lord, it says we'll meet him in the air. So I'm assuming from this, on the day of rapture, or the time when the church is called out, those who remain, and the resurrected ones who have died and fallen asleep in the Lord are resurrected, that the meeting the Lord in the air means that we'll meet him in the first heaven, in the blue skies, the place where the birds fly, the place where the clouds are. So we'll meet the Lord in the clouds, we meet the Lord in the air, in the sky. I am assuming that that at rapture there will be a gathering together with the Lord in the air, meaning the blue sky above us, the atmosphere, and we will come with him to a dwelling place on the earth. So I think that's what's referred to there. Anyway, so those were the questions from the morning service. And so anyway, I hope you guys have a great week. We'll see you guys this coming Sunday.